Test of tests. Okay.
船長に気に入られたゴン、クラピカ、レオリオの
クラピ
3
カ
人
クラピカ
はここドーレ港に到着していた。
そうだ、そのお礼と言っちゃなんだが。
This really does feel like Pokemon, doesn't it?
アドバイス？
あれ、あの山のてっぺんに大きな杉の木が見えるだろう。まずはあそこを目指すがいい。試験会場への近道だ。
近道？わかった。あの杉の木だね。
安心しな、ジン。お前の息子はいい子に育ってる。
Okay, Jing?
試験会場はザバン地区のどこかって書かれてるね。
Zabin.
確かにあの杉の木って言ってたよ。そうか。
だいたいこの通知も悪いよ
I
な。
love this dude.
ザバン地区のどこかってだけじゃわかんねえっつの。
わずかな情報を頼りに会場へたどり着く。それもハンター試験を受ける条件の一つなのさ。
もちろんわかってるさ。
きっと何か訳があるんだよ。
おいおい、本気かよ。ザバン行きのバスが出てんだぞ。おい
He's like, later.
あいつはもう少し人を疑うことを覚えた方がいいな。おい、クラピカ。
船長の
Grapika.
言葉というよりもゴンの行動に興味があるね。しばらく彼に付き合ってみるさ。
You should go
そうかよ
as well.
じゃあな。
やはり罠だったか。
バスは一台もザバン地区に着いてないし。
ルーキーはバカ正直だから大概ここで脱落するな。
待て待て待て。
Yeah.
薄気味悪いところだな。人っ子一人見当たらねえぜ。
結構いるよ。
Yeah, they're just inside.
何？
Oh.
なんだこいつら。
ドキドキ。
ドキドキ。
I've heard that term a few times now in different anime.
ドキドキ。
ドキドキ二択クイズ。
おいおい、なんなんだよいきなり。
考える時間は5秒間。
Ooh.
間違えたら即失格。今年のハンター試験は諦めな。
これもハンター試験の関門の一つというわけか。
そういうことか。クイズなら得意だぜ。で、一問？
答えは
一番
1か2で答えること。それ以外の曖昧な答えはすべて間違いとみなす。
もしこいつが間違えたら俺まで失格ってことかよ。
ありえないね。むしろ逆の可能性が高くて泣きたくなるよ。
Fucking gun.
かな。
でもさ、3人のうち誰かが答えを知ってればいいんだから楽じゃない？俺クイズ苦手だし。
誰だお前。
港からずっと俺たちの後ろをついてきてた
God
人だよ。
knew.
マジか。本人が言ってんだし。ここは
Let him take it first.
問題の傾向もわかるし。
Yeah. Let's see how it
俺は
plays
別
out.
にいいよ。
バカ、先に言ってお前らにたっぷり
バカ
やるんだよ。
It'll be a trick
お
question.
前の母親と恋人が悪党に捕まり、一人しか助けられない。1、母親。2、恋人。お前はどち
It's
らを
quite subjective. And then truly there isn't really
なんだよそのクイズ。
yeah, there isn't really an answer to that, but
答えは1だ。そりゃ母親は替えが利かないからな。恋人はまた別のを見つけりゃいい。
何？
通りな。
なんだと？おいおい、ふざけんじゃねえ。あんなの正解なわけねえだろ。ばあさんが気に入る答えを言いってのか？それが正しいってのかよ。
yeah, it's
おい、なんとか言えよ。こんな茶番付き合ってられるか。
calm down, calm down. Think about
もう
it.
遅い。ここでクイズに答えなければ。お前は
You're locked in now,
失
man.
格だ。
あんな問題人によって答えが違うし。
Again,
正
subjective.
解なんて言葉でくくれるもんじゃねえだろうがよ。
言葉ではくくれない。そうか。
レオリオ。
待ちな。猫目の坊やは気づいたようだね。
No right answer.
これ以上のおしゃべりは許さないよ。余計な発言をしたら即失格だ。
So many rules.
これは簡単なトリックだ。
If there's no right answer, then
それでは問題。 お前の息子と娘が誘拐されて、
Well,
どちらか一人しか取り戻せない。1、息子。
you can't
2、
pick.
娘。お前はどちらを取り戻す？
なめやがって。
No, no, I'm sure there's a logic to this.
2、1。
Silence? That's an option, perhaps.
終了。
Because there's no right answer, right? So didn't even flinch.
止めるな、クラピカ。
クラピカ。
説教してやんねえと気が収まらね
せっかくの合格を棒に振る気か。
Ah,
え。合格？
he didn't say anything.
我々は正解したんだよ。沈黙。それが正しい答えなんだ。
正解なんて言葉でくくれるもんじゃねえだろうがよ。
そう。このクイズに正解などない。しかし、答えは1と2でしか言えないルールだ。つまり、答えられない。沈黙しかないんだ。
しかし、さっきの野郎は
正解とは言っていない。通れと言っただけだ。
That's true.
こ
That's
っちの
true.
道は正しい道ではない。
その通り。正しい道はこっちだよ。2時間も歩けば頂上に着く。
2 hours, damn.
その一本杉の下の山小屋に住む夫婦はナビゲーターをやっている。彼らのメガネにかなえば会場まで案内してくれるだろう。
Meet their standards, okay?
悪かった。手荒な真似をして。
なあに、構わんよ。お前みたいなやつに会いたくてやってる仕事さ。頑張っていいハンターになりな。
Huh. How wholesome.
ダメだ。どうしても答え出なきゃ。
This dude.
お前まだ答えを考えてたのかよ。
クイズはもう終わったんだ。
それは分かってるよ。でもさ、もし本当に大切な2人のうち、どっちか1人しか助けられない時が来たらどうする？どちらを選んでも正解じゃないけど、どちらか必ず選ばなきゃならない時が
Ugh,
いつか
I don't like the sound of
来るかもしれない
that.
んだ。
What if it's a choice between friends?
それがこのクイズを出した本当の意味。あらゆる残酷な空想に耐えておけ。
And I think they are going to
突
face
然無慈悲になるものだからな。
great
いつか
shot.
来る
Great shot.
分かれ道に備えて。
歩いて2時間だ。2時間なんて2時間前に過ぎちゃったぞ。ああまた魔獣注意の看板か。こんなんで本当に会場に着けんのか。お腹すいたよ。うんこしたいよ。
レオリオ、置いてく
Take
よ。
a dump.
魔獣だ。
魔獣？
Ugh.
変幻魔獣キリコ。人に化けることもできる。高い知能を持った獣だ。
妻を助けてくれ。
レオリオ、
Mm.
怪我人を頼む。
Leorio, okay. Medic. Or he's got the skill set.
この深くて暗い森の中、あのかすかな影を捉えて
Yeah, he's quite the tracker.
大したやつだ。
Most impressive.
腕ずくで取り返してみな。
It caught him off guard there.
すごいや。あいつ喋ったよ。
魔獣キリコは人の言葉も操れるんだ。
やーい、牛のるキリコ。
Ooh.
早い。
Kurapika.
無茶するやつめ。
このガキ。
That's twice now they've seen his reckless nature, right?
どこかひどく痛むところはあるか？大丈夫。
I mean
それより夫は
that must have been a test as well,
心
right?
配ない。我々の仲間が見ている。
This whole situation.
夫のところへ連れて行って。この入れ墨。君は
クラピカ。
男の容体はどうだ？
うん、心配なさそうだ。見た目ほど傷は深くなかった。
Hmm.
今鎮痛剤を飲んで家でぐっすり寝てるよ。なぜわかった？なぜ俺が偽物だとわかったのだ？
一つ答えてくれ。 お前は一体何者だ
Ooh, nice. Oof. Nice. Ooh.
この俺様に一撃を食らわせたな。教えてやるよ。その代償が恐ろしく高くついたってことだ。
君誰？俺がさっき殴ったのは君じゃないよね。
なんで俺がさっきのやつとは
Smell?
分かった。
だって顔が全然違うじゃん。声だって君の方が少し高くて細い感じだし。
おい父ちゃん出てきな。面白いもんが見られるよ。声と顔の違い。
Gon's got a knack for this.
俺とクラピカに殴られた方が旦那さんなんだって。
だからそれはどっちだ
我々はナビゲーター。家族でハンター試験のサポートをしている。
娘で
It's all a test.
ですハンター試験を受けるにふさわしい人間かどうか
I think they've passed
我々が試して
they've passed the test.
しているんだ
クラピカ殿、
はい
Kurapika.
あなたはわずかなヒントを見逃さず、見事私たち2人が夫婦でないことを見破りました。このヒントとなる入れ墨は、この地方に住む女性が生涯独身を通す証として彫るもの。クラピカ殿の博学さが証明されたわけです。よって合格とします。
レオリオ殿。
ああ、
しかし傷の処置は医者以上に早くて的確。
Nice.
妻の身を案じるふりをしていた私に対し、ずっと力強い励ましの言葉をかけ続けてくれた。
よしてくれ。
その心の温かさはハンター試験を受験するに値する。
Kindness. Yes.
よって
Below the exterior, there is kindness.
そして最後にゴン殿。
Gon Bono.
お前のそのとてつもなく人間離れした運動能力、観察力、
Most
ハンター試
impressive.
験を受けるに十分値する。合格だ。
Nice.
さあ、君たちをハンター試験会場まで案内しよう。
あくまで受験資格を手にしただけだ。
いいじゃねえか。前進したことに変わりはねえだろ。
まったく能天気なやつらだ。
てめえ、いちいち生意気なんだ。
束の間の空中遊泳を楽しむゴンたち。
Oh, nice.
しかし彼らはまだスタートラインにすらついていなかった。
Okay, episode 2. Yeah, it appears they're not quite at the starting line just yet, and they appear to be carried to the starting line, or maybe towards it, close enough, perhaps. But these pre-tests are really quite a fantastic plot device, quite a fantastic character building plot device. I thought in this episode it's really quite effective. Right, it's essentially a tale of two halves, isn't it? First half of the episode and the second, and how these three really unique characters approach these situations, right? That in itself is one of the standouts of this episode for me. Seeing, again, that diverse skill set on display through the three different characters that are part of this cast design at the moment. And again, it really helps in developing that cast design, bringing them together. I think they have a strong dynamic already. Unique personalities and character types kind of round each other off. The contrast is there. It's just really fantastic so far. That being said, sure, it feels like these three are going to be together for quite a bit of time, perhaps, right? But I think, much like how I mentioned in the first episode, it did a great job of giving me the information I need right now, and then also did a great job of giving me something for the near future, or the future of the story as well. I think, here it is also hinting at, at some point they are going to go on their own separate path, perhaps. There's a really fantastic shot of them, right? Once they do gain access to the right path, to the cabin, it's a beautiful shot. I think it's only 2 episodes in, but it's one of the standout moments of the anime for me so far. These three on their journey but ultimately there might be a divergence at some point. I've got to say that over the span of these 2 episodes, I feel like I am beginning to have a strong grasp on these characters. It's just been really quite effective, I think. And I felt that was one of the most effective components of this episode, right? Developing these characters, characterizing them further. And listen, man, Gon, sure, his optimism, sometimes naive optimism even, that's how it kind of came across, maybe in episode 1 as well. But listen, there's something there. I think there's something interesting there. I mean, even though Gon does have the build-up and the characteristics of a typical shonen protagonist, this episode specifically, and some of the moments in this episode and how he deals with some of these situations, or this notion of him being naive, I'm sure there might be a bit of that in there as well. But I think, him being trusting might also be due to the fact that he appears to be a great judge of character, right? This kid, Gon, is certainly quite impressive. Beyond his years even, I really get some fascinating insight on Gon, right? As he is still struggling with the question that was posed, right? Because he's thinking of it in the practical sense, right? He's applying it to real life. And he's already thinking, oh, he's kind of stuck. The other 2 are looking at it from a hypothetical, perhaps, right? And then, all 3 of them essentially kind of reach the same answer, more or less. Kurapika clocks it almost immediately, right? Of course, Kurapika's the intelligent one, right? Quite perceptive of his surroundings and the situation at hand, and quite a quick problem solver at that as well, right? So he picked it up immediately. And then you have Leorio, who's just not having any of it. He just does not want to play part in this because he thinks it's ridiculous, right? It's not fair, right? Because ultimately it's subjective, and ultimately there is no answer to something like that, right? But again, the foundations being laid here are asking the question of these characters. And again, it's kind of setting up perhaps stuff down the line as well, perhaps a bit of foreshadowing, right? Yes, it might be a bit of a test question, a hypothetical right now, but, real life comes at you fast. I believe the old lady said something along those lines, right? It comes at you without warning, right? And that immediately made me think of the story from the first episode, Kurapika's clan being decimated, butchered by this phantom troop, right? There is darkness out there, right? Even if these 2 episodes have felt really quite wholesome, and I've mentioned Pokemon twice now in both episodes, I guess. Listen, I know sometimes people don't like if you voice that, oh, this reminds you of this, because I remember Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen are really quite similar. And they are. I mean, they are. That's undeniable. But I remember some people didn't like that comparison for some reason, even though it's quite clear. I just feel that, there are some elements that are reminiscent of Pokemon, at least maybe in some of these early stages, right? Departing on a journey. Though, of course, that's not unique to Pokemon. That's been around for a long, long time, that concept, right? But still, I'm sure you get my point. I'm sure you can relate or understand my comparisons to Pokemon, or at least they're reminding me a bit of Pokemon. Perhaps at this age or at this point in time in his life, Gon kind of struggles with morality, right? I don't think he quite has the idea or understanding of the potential gray area, right? You see that he's not letting go of that question because he truly believes that there must be a right or wrong. He wasn't quite accepting of the notion of there not being a right answer for this. I just thought it was really fantastic insight on the character of Gon and how he functions and how he thinks, and how he might be thinking down the line, and the potential growth and change of stance or beliefs down the line. And essentially, Gon is on the right track because, as the old lady said, this is the true purpose of the test, beyond a hypothetical, it is applicable, really quite applicable to real life and the situations you might find yourself in as future hunters, perhaps. To me, right there, that felt like a good old moment of foreshadowing, didn't it? Because I'm sure there might be a moment down the line that might have Gon actually asking that question in a high stakes situation, high pressure situation, and he might have to make that choice. Or maybe one of the others might have to make that choice. But the fact that it is focusing on Gon at that moment, pondering and just really contemplating that question, I think, that is something I should definitely put a pin in. This felt like a really great foundations episode. It's laying the foundations for the characters, for, again, the plot down the line. But of course, beyond just us, the audience, getting to learn a bit more about the characters and how they function and how they approach any given unique situation, you see that the characters themselves get to know each other a bit more. The things they excel at, the things that they might be not so great in, right? They're getting to learn about each other. And I think by the end of this episode, there's a much stronger understanding, especially for someone like Leorio as well, right? I've got to say, I'm really enjoying Leorio. It's fantastic to have that type of character. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. I know sometimes people can find this type of character a bit insufferable, but I think, he does bring a lot of levity to this crew. They make a great traveling party together, don't they? Great personality types that round each other off. And it'll be interesting to see if more people join this group, right? They kind of, maybe they didn't set up the idea of, hunter groups per se, but like the Phantom Troop, right? It is a group. Unless, of course, they're not hunters. But, the way they set them up, it's clearly a group of them, right? It's a troop. And I think the voice acting for Leorio is really quite engaging as well. I really like it. Some fantastic comedic voice acting on display as well. Of course, he's the fool with the heart of gold, right? And he himself is really quite impressive as well. He's quite the medic. He's been trained in that field, clearly, right? As the people at the cabin, the family at the cabin was really quite complimentary. They even specified that the way he dressed up, the injuries is perhaps the best they've seen. Best of any doctor they've come across. So he's really quite capable, even though he does have this goofy, quirky nature about him, right? Hot-headed, but a heart of gold, right? Or kind-hearted, essentially. I think I did mention in episode 1, clearly, you get these types of characters. It's a repeating character type that I've seen over the years. Again, hard exterior, materialistic, perhaps, as he is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, his motivations, but you see that, of course, inside, he's got a kind soul. For sure, a caring soul. And I do believe that this episode 2, does a lot for that character specifically, in terms of growth and a better understanding for us, the audience. The second half, of course, the supremely talented Gon, just out there doing his thing. Even Kurapika is really quite impressed. Right, so it gives Kurapika a chance to see, okay, kid's got skills. He knows how to carry himself out here, right? He's been at this. He's quite seasoned at such an early age, right? Quite a master tracker already, right? He's got this heightened sense of smell. And, he's got eyesight like a hawk. And just, again, a master tracker. It's a great moment as he's able to differentiate between the two creatures. And I love how, the creatures didn't end up being the big bads of this, right? They try to get you in the beginning, but then it becomes clear, okay, this is also part of another test. But I like how, the creatures ended up being just friendly, ultimately. But yeah, Gon's animalistic instincts even are really quite impressive, aren't they? And then of course, there's still a case to be made if this is just a part of him, it's in his blood essentially because of his father as well, maybe. But again, I feel that he should get a lot of credit because I do think that something episode 1 really effectively set up is that he's diligent, he works hard for his goals, and a lot of this is because of repetition, because of practice, because of training, right? This is, again, he's bubbly, he's really optimistic, outgoing, but there is something there. But yeah, for me, one of the biggest takeaways from this episode is, the potential of being in the middle of a morally ambiguous situation, perhaps, in the coming episodes. There's a lot of them. The thing that they've made clear here is that there might be some choices that have to be made, right? There is no right answer, but a choice has to be made nonetheless. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach these potential morally ambiguous situations down the line as they gain a bit more experience, right? And Gon specifically in this case, I think, because you see they highlight his struggle with that question. And also, finally on the production side of things, some great animation on display here. Really. Some beautiful frames as well. And I've got to say, I've noticed that almost immediately I've been kind of sucked in by the soundtrack in the sense that I found myself just kind of jamming almost immediately. There's that one theme. It's kind of a jazz type theme. Really just kind of swept me, right? It really just kind of took over. And you may have noticed now over the years, I really get into the score. So much so that sometimes I think someone might have mentioned once or asked me once, do you have like a tick or something? Like, you move your head a lot. And I was like, no, that's just me jamming out to the music. Just kind of going with the flow of the music, right? Because you have the headphones in, right? If you have the headphones in, you're really able to dial in and really kind of catch the background score and the intricacies of the sound mix. So I am excited to get to perhaps some of the more darker aspects of this score. Some of the more somber aspects of this score, because I'm sure at some point it is going to come in, right? But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access to the next few episodes right now, or perhaps even timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page and supporting the channel. Links in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 3. Until then, take it easy.